You know, Jake was talking about Zach, how he ought to always say, hey bro, and I'm very familiar with that myself, and if Zach really likes something, he'd always say, that's fire. But this is kind of hard for me because Zach was such a good friend of mine, and I just want to say to the family that this is probably one of the better honors I've had in my life, to be able to say some good words about a close friend of mine. I've known Zach for about 5 years, but you know, I never really called Zach my friend because he always called me his brother, and Zach was a brother to me. We actually met in church, and Zach helped me in youth ministry for several years. And I don't know if for many of y'all know this, but I've watched God use Zach in so many ways. Not only was he very, very valuable piece to the youth ministries that we was in, but he connected so well with so many young kids. And I believe wholeheartedly that God uses people from all different backgrounds and walks of life. There was moments when we had kids struggling with things that Zach was able to talk to them and bring them peace about things that I never experienced. Zach was always a very dependable friend, even though he was fighting things of his own, and there was addictions that he may have been fighting. I always knew that if there was one friend that I could call, whether it be 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, Zach would answer. I myself found myself in a situation this past year that Zach was very, very encouraging to me. Zach spoke a lot of wisdom, showed a lot of love at a time when I really needed it. Many of y'all know that Zach was a die-hard Georgia Bulldog fan. And I'll tell you, I enjoyed my time speaking with Zach about Georgia football. And when we weren't getting together and having cookouts to watch the game, we would call each other right before the game started. I'd call him at halftime. And I always knew whether to wait till the next day after the game, as I did against Alabama and Notre Dame this year. I waited till the next day to call him back because he'd get so bad out of shape. One of the most successful things Zach was so proud of as being a Georgia fan is that he was able to convert a Florida Gator fan, become a Georgia fan. He bragged about that all the time, and I'm glad to see Jim's back on the right track in that area. Zach loved to cook out. Zach was a people person. And when we wasn't cooking out, we was always talking about when we was going to cook out next. And Zach would always say, I'll bring the potato salad. And let me tell you, that old boy made some good potato salad. He loved to smoke his meats, and we'd come to his house or he'd come to mine. Zach always had a sense of humor. Even when maybe things weren't going so well in his life, he could always make you laugh. I can't tell you how many times I laughed at jokes that he made. And he'd make light of things that most people would probably be stressed over or depressed over. I can't tell you how many times he made me laugh when he would speak about his nubs. Zach worked Facebook Marketplace better than anybody I've ever seen in my life. That boy, he would trade. He was like, he'd come up with, he'd always have a new truck, a Jeep, a four-wheeler. You know, he'd call me up and say, hey, you and Xander want to ride down to, gosh, I don't remember where we rode. It was about an hour or so away to pick up a four-wheeler just here recently. But most of all, Zach was a good friend, a good father, a good son. And Zach's one of those people that whenever you look at your life and you feel like things ain't going good, or that maybe God don't love you, you could always look and say that when you see people that God put in your life, like Zach, you know that he loves you. And in closing, I just want to say that this isn't goodbye. I'll see you again, Zach. I love you, and thanks for being a brother to me.